Another set of 10 questions related to your PMI-ACP exam preparation. You might have already seen our previous 10 questions. So I'm starting with question number 11 in this video. You are leading an agile team distributed across multiple time zones. Some team members feel disengaged because meetings are often scheduled at time inconvenient for them. Others mentioned that the lack of real-time conversation is causing misunderstanding and delay in collaboration. As an agile practitioner, you want to address these challenges to create an inclusive and effective communication environment. What should you do to resolve this issue? Pretty much common in today's hybrid working environment and multi-time zone teams, remotely working teams. So we see the question is pointing out the challenge related to coming up with synchronous communication, and because few teams are finding it inconvenient where others are looking for more rich communication amongst the team member. Let's see the option. Decide a fixed meeting time that works for the majority. Yeah. Looks logical. You should be considering the democratic view. You should be giving attention to the people who can probably in a majority in the number. But we can have a better option where we can focus on consensus rather than majority, because it is going to be a daily conversation, frequent interaction. So probably this is not a good idea. Let's see if we can find out another option. Transition to asynchronous communication, avoiding real-time meeting to eliminate time zone conflicts. So I do believe that we should transition to asynchronous communication in today's environment, but at the same time, you cannot eliminate real-time meeting. Yeah? So there will be a need of synchronous communication, because synchronous communication is a rich media of communication and it brings the whole, the action reactions together. Yeah? So elimination is little risky, but yeah, I want to reach as much as asynchronous communication in the team. Schedule meeting exclusively during your local working hours and required others to attend. That's anyway I can discard. It is not about me, it's about the team. So me seeing my convenience is anyway not a good idea. A and B still had some meaningful option. C doesn't have anything meaningful. Let's see option D. Facilitate a team discussion to explore flexible meeting schedule that can accommodate time zones fairly and encourage team input on the best approach. Yeah. So I would say the option D kind of integrates A and B. It is saying that yes, we will figure it out together what times works for us. And it is also focusing on, let's figure it out, how can we communicate, can we enrich our communication with some of the asynchronous tool. So easy pick, you can go with option number D, yeah, in this particular question. Now we will explore which particular domain it maps to, but this is the easy pick for the option D. Now here I would say that it is mapping to the domain promote collaborative team environment. I personally feel that this domain is, this particular task of mindset domain may be present in majority of the question, because whenever you have a conversation related to the team, you do want to promote collaborative team environment. Question number 12. An agile team is working on new product. During a retrospective, the team identifies that the product owner often introduce change mid-sprint. Okay. While these changes appears reasonable, they are causing the team to miss their sprint goals. So pretty tricky, which is focusing on that how do you take care of adaptation during the sprint. Yeah. So you might remember various rules related to that, but let's see what are the options. As an agile practitioner, how do you facilitate, how do you address the situation? Option A, facilitate a mid-sprint review meeting with the product owner to reassess priorities and collaboratively decide on change. Actually not a bad idea. You can do that, but we are looking for a little bit more better than planning for a mid-sprint review. The whole idea in the Scrum way of working is that you don't want to deflect from the sprint goal during the sprint, even by doing some set of meetings. But at the same time, you should be open for some clarification and explanation, which can be negotiated during the sprint, but you should not be deviating from the goal. So doing a mid-sprint review will be an extra event. In general, extra meetings should be discouraged. You want to have already meetings. You are doing daily Scrum. Daily Scrum is there for frequent inspect and adapt, which helps you in getting ready for upcoming 24 hours of work. So after sprint planning, you should be using daily Scrum extensively to replan your work whenever needed. So you probably don't need a separate meeting, though conversation is a good idea, but you don't need a mid-sprint meeting. Option B, adopt shorter sprint duration to accommodate emerging changes without disrupting the sprint goals. actually a possible alternative. We can definitely go for a shorter duration sprint if we see that these kind of changes are coming from external sources. The question is not very clear that the environment is so dynamic, so it is requiring us to adapt more frequently, or it is happening because of the product owner maybe overlook of some of the details in the beginning. So it's a candidate option. Yeah, I would say that I need to see if we have a other comparing option, but I hold B for a good option. Option C, develop a working agreement with the product owner to balance change flexibility with the sprint focus and explain the impact of mid-sprint changes causing by missing details or expectations. Good idea, because it is focusing on collaboration, it is focusing on working agreement, it is focusing on that we remain focused to the sprint goals, at the same time provide some amount of flexibility for adaptation. Yeah, so it is not directly saying that we will not take any of the change. So I would say C is a good idea. Yeah, so B and C both are candidate option. We may come and compare both of them together. Let's see option D. Refine the product backlog more frequently to pursue priorities are clarified, yeah, to ensure priorities are clarified and missing details or expectations are addressed before the sprint planning. Actually, this is also a good idea. You can definitely do a backlog refinement more better extensively to make sure that we are having clarity, or you can say we have a ready stories when we are going for a sprint planning meeting, which ensures that during the sprint you will not have many problems. So I would say B, C, D, all are good. Then we need to find out the safest one, which is more open-ended, not focusing on a particular direction, and saying that we can figure it out collaboratively. In general, whenever you have a more than one right option looking in the question, you focus on the one which is more safe without adding many assumptions. You can choose that. So option B requires an assumption that external situations are dynamic, which are beyond the control, and we need to adapt based on the current situation and focus on frequent sprints. Question is not clearly saying so. We need to add that detail. If that detail is there, B becomes good. C is coming up with a very open-ended things. It is saying, let's figure it out, the working agreement. Let's make sure that we remain focused as well as flexible, not too stringent about it. And let's explain what is the consequences of missing the sprint goals. Yeah, so in a way, that's a good idea collaboratively, which may result into frequent backlog refinement, which may result into creating a definition of ready, which may result into something else as well. So that way I can go with option C because this is pretty safe option in this particular situation. The objective of these discussions are that you also get the mindset and get the clarity about various concepts which are related to Agile when we are preparing for PMI-ACP exam. So this question can be mapped to promote collaborative team environment because you want your product owner and team to talk to each other and figure out that they remain focused and deliver value at the end of every sprint, yeah, with the help of achieving sprint goal and maintain flexibility. Now, some of you may start thinking, that there is a rule called no change during the sprint. Please keep in mind that rule is basically focusing on no change in the sprint goal during the sprint. There could be some kind of clarification and expansion can happen related to the user story, but that is negotiable, not change of a sprint goal, but elements of the sprint understanding can refine during the sprint. But at the same time, we need to remain focused. That's the option C is saying, let's remain focused and be adaptable. So question number 13. A team experiences recurring issues that has caused delay in work integration, okay, leading to missed sprint goals. So you have a technical work integration issue which is leading to a missing sprint goals. Some team members are frustrated because preventive actions for this issue was identified during a previous retrospective but was not acted upon. What should the Agile practitioner do? Serious thing, yeah? So you have a technical impediment which has been creating impact. We have been talking about it and there was a good discussion in the previous sprint and there was a sprint retrospective. We figured it out, the action, but no action, and still we are getting delayed. Yeah? That's the same, and people are feeling a little frustrated about this particular situation. Let's see the option. Collaborate with the team during the next retrospective to review the status of the unaddressed actions. Possible. The thing is that there is a problem which is saying previous retrospective actions are not acted upon. You are not tracking them, you are not closing them. That's the problem, and which is creating frustration. Saying that let's talk about it in another retrospective meeting can be, but not a great idea, because the idea is that you are not tracking the retrospective actions. I ignore this. Option B, schedule a team meeting to address the issue immediately and assign clear accountability for closing the actions. Possible, you can do it. But another thing you need to keep in mind when you are dealing with the Scrum Agile mindset, discourage special meetings during the sprint. If something is going wrong, either you handle it one-on-one or you do yourself as an impediment removal problem solver, or maybe some conversation just after the daily stand-up can happen. But usually you don't want to disrupt the team conversation, teamwork by introducing a new meeting. Yeah. So though it looks a logical idea, you want to have an interactive communication and you want to make sure that we will get these things closed, but not a good idea because you are in a between of the sprint. Option C, review the preventive actions identified in the previous retrospective and maintain visual tracking of their progress. That seems to be a good idea to an Agile practitioner, Scrum Master, Project Manager who is a servant leader here. So I need to really track where are those actions, what we have done, and make sure that they really get acted upon. So this looks good. Yeah, C is good. Option D, discuss the dissatisfaction expressed by the team members one-on-one and explain the challenges faced in enacting the preventive actions. Can be done, but this is not addressing the thing which is happening here. You are not acting upon your previous retrospective actions. You don't have a clear tracking mechanism, or it is perceived that you are not acting upon. You might be acting. There is a possibility. It is just like they are not feeling that it has been acted upon. So we need to see where we are, what action has been taken, what actions are pending, and need to make sure that this get communicated without disrupting the current sprint flow. And that way option C looks good, because this is something which is directly addressing that particular area. Yeah. So this is how we can find it out. Yes, this question is focusing on many tasks. It is collaborative team environment. Yes, you are facilitating problems resolution by way of seeing the situation at hand. And you are definitely using the word retrospective here. So it is little bit touching the continuous improvement, your task as well from your delivery domain. So let's see question number 14. A member of the team has expressed a desire to transition role from testing to development. Okay, the team members has completed several courses and gained knowledge in development. Okay, some of the team members are concerned that coming sprint velocity may decrease with this transition in the role. Yeah, interesting. So you see that one team member is enthusiastic to do something which he is not skilled yet, but he is showing his commitment by way of learning things, and others are feeling that if we give him something which he is not expert in, may produce less productive result for a given sprint, which may put more pressure on our work, which may lead into missing the goal. So you have kind of two priorities. One is, as an Agile practitioner, you do want to promote collaborative work environment. You want to promote cross-functional skills. You want to create T-shaped professionals. You want to make people try out something. Yeah, you want to encourage them to learn something new. That's a one goal. Another is, at the same time, you also want to make sure that there is a delivery should happen and we remain focused towards delivering value. So how do you handle and balance this particular situation? Let's see the question. Option A, allow the team member to transition immediately and assign simpler development tasks initially to build confidence and reduce the impact on a sprint velocity. Not a bad idea, but it makes me taking a lot of ownership of this transition. I am the one who is assigning simple development tasks and all. I should not be. Who should do it? Team members. So it should be the planning in the Scrum way of working and Agile way of working is a team's job. Team only can assign the task to each other. So that way it becomes a little negative. Yeah, it gives a sense that we may make the person ready over a period of time and won't impact much the velocity, and I will do that, but it has little negative smell. Option B, schedule a meeting with the team to discuss their concerns and collaboratively create a plan to support the team members' transition while balancing velocity expectation. I don't see anything negative here. It is the kind of a textbook solution. You work with a team, you collaborate, you discuss with them. You are not saying we are not doing it. It could be that you also coach them that we have a goal of building cross-functional skills. We want to create T-shaped professional that will encourage the more accountability and new thinking in our development group as well, because someone is coming from another background. But overall, this looks good to me. Option C, delay the transition until the team members demonstrate expertise by completing additional training or certification in development. Possible, but the thing is, the B can take care of C. If during the discussion we figure it out that it requires one more month of training before we can start working in a real work, that can happen as an output of a B also. So why to go to a specific solution where I already have an open-ended little inclusive solution which might incorporate the option C as well? So I still go with B. Reject the transition request to ensure sprint velocity is not impacted and maintain the team's current roles and responsibility. If I have to say that this is definitely no, yeah. So you have to choose between B and C, because that's the something is very clearly C is delaying the work without much of the consultation. So we can easily go with option B. Yeah. So overall, I am here for supporting growth mindset. I am here for creating the cross-functional team. So agile mindset, we should be embracing the change. We should be embracing we should be promoting people learning each other's skills. That's a very specific task written in your exam content outline. So though the whole team has to be cross-functional, it is not mandatory for each individual to be a cross-functional. That is not mandatory, because cross-functional individual versus cross-functional teams are separate. But at the same time, we do promote T-shaped, E-shaped professionals where we expect people having more than one skills, and we do promote mobility or in the job roles because it brings overall good perspective and collaboration in the team. And in general, we don't want to have a very clear boundaries between developers and tester in our agile teams. So if you keep these pointers in your mind, many other questions will also go right. Question number 15. So during the last few sprints, the agile team has been unable to complete any of its sprint goals due to defect from previous releases and unexpected calls with pre-sales. Okay, so you have been facing ad hoc work. The agile practitioner approaches the sponsor requesting help. The sponsor replies that situation is unlikely to change. What is the best course of action agile practitioner do going forward? So we have been facing this problem in multiple sprints. We get ad hoc work, which is related to previous release defects, as well as sometimes sales calls. I escalated this, or I in a way discussed with my senior boss, and boss says this is going to happen. Yeah. What do I do as an agile practitioner? Tricky situation. Let's see option A. Continue as it is. Adapt the sprint plans to accommodate the interruption as the situation is unlikely to change. So we can say, okay, let's continue it. Even if we don't meet sprint goal, don't meet, yeah, let's continue doing that. It's not a proactive approach. We need to do something. I am responsible for ensuring predictability, transparency, and commitment as a leader. So I can't just say whatever happens, happens. We will just do as per the flow. We go a little bit more detail. Option B, track all interruptions and collaboratively review them with the sponsor and the stakeholder to identify opportunities for improvement. I can do that. That's a possibility. I may make a list of all the interruptions. I may identify what kind of negative impacts they have created. I may make a little case study and review it with the sponsor and stakeholder. But the point is, negative part of this question is, the question is indicating that I have already had a conversation, though I can have a more persuasive case where a sponsor has said, this situation is going to be continued. So not a great idea. Let's see other options. Collaborate with the team to implement strategies such as capacity allocation for unplanned work and better definition of sprint goals to account for predictable interruptions. Looks good? Yeah. So it is saying that, yes, let's plan for these things as a part of our sprint goal, define the sprint goal in such a way so that it takes care of these kind of ad hoc work as well, and allocate some kind of capacity for predictable interruption because the situation is going to be same. So we have been seeing it from a previous iteration, and sponsor said that this is going to be continued. So it's a predictable. So we can allocate some part of our team capacity, which means some hours or days into such kind of thing. So and define the sprint goal. Great. I think option C is something looking great here. Escalate the issue to the higher stakeholder or a governance body to address the impact of external factors to implementing team performance. That seems to be the most least relevant option here. I can easily go with option C. I am focusing on facilitating problem solving here by way of applying my analytical skills. Question number 16. An agile team is working on a complex product with several high priority features and significant technical uncertainties in a few critical functionalities. So there is some priority and technical challenge. The product owner wants to prioritize delivering high value features to satisfy stakeholders. Okay. While the team believes addressing technical challenges early would mitigate risk and support future development. I see both of them are right. Yeah. As an agile practitioner, how should you address this situation? Yeah, so we have a complex initiative. The stakeholders are looking for value. The PO is chasing the value and technical team is chasing the technical excellence. Option A, facilitate a discussion between product owner and the team to create a balanced approach to prioritize, address both technical risk and delivering high value features. I like it. The A option seems to be good. Let's see other. Coach the team on the priority of delivering value in Agile. I can do that. And encourage team to address technical challenges during available spare capacity. Yeah, so the first part is still okay, but I can't say that you will have a spare capacity and you can use the technical challenges during that time. It may require a dedicated capacity. You may not have a lying there. But overall, creating the empathy towards value delivery is a good idea, assuming if they don't have it. But I can't just say the technical priorities can be taken care in the spare capacity. Option C, coach the product owner to focus on resolving technical uncertainty first. I can definitely coach the product owner, but not necessarily the first, and ensure a solid foundation for future delivery for high value features. So I need to create empathetic understanding in the coach product owner to understand technical challenges. But option A is more inclusive. I can't say the technical challenges has to be taken first because the solid foundation is needed. Option A is saying, let's talk. Yeah. Option D, conduct a risk assessment session with the team and stakeholder to quantify the impact of technical uncertainties on delivery and revise priorities accordingly. Okay, yeah, but you don't have to do a revision of the priorities. The first section of option D is good. We can have a risk identification and analysis conversation. And definitely we can use risk value-based prioritization process. Great idea. We should be prioritizing our product backlog items based on value and risk. But that is pretty much inclusive in option A. It is saying let's product owner and team create a balanced approach for prioritization, which will be taking care of risk and high value. And as an agreement, they are creating it. So why not go for option A? Yeah? So in this particular case, I can go with option A. Yeah? So it's all about collaborative. It is about refining the product backlog. That's the type of task you are mapping to. Yes, we are refining the backlog as well. Question number 17. Yeah, during a sprint review, a key stakeholder expresses concerns about the lack of clear and accessible update on project progress and alignment with the goals during the sprint. Okay. What should you do as an agile practitioner to address the concern? Yeah. So I'm doing sprint review and stakeholder is saying, we were clueless about your movement in the sprint. Yeah. Okay, option A, schedule additional status update meeting during the sprint to provide the stakeholders with a regular update on progress and alignment with the goal. It can happen, but I should avoid it. I should not bring another additional meetings in between because the Scrum framework by default, I assume, gives us enough meetings to ensure collaboration and alignment. Yeah. So me going to the stakeholders during the sprint until unless there is a special stakeholder and something, but I should be avoiding these extra meetings. So not a great idea, but let's see if we don't get anything, we may come back to option A. Option B, create and maintain an information radiator or a similar visual tools to share real-time progress, impediments, and alignment with the sprint goals with all the stakeholders. Looks great. Yeah? That's what the Scrum tells us. So as of now, I feel B is good idea. Let's see. Suggest the stakeholder attend daily stand-up meeting to stay informed about the team's progress and issue throughout the sprint. Now, some places you may find these kind of options where you see stakeholders also attending the daily Scrum. But in general, you should be avoiding that. Daily Scrum is a team facilitation and coordination meeting. Stakeholder may not be able to get the value out of it because teams are discussing something which matters to them. And in general, the participant of the daily scrum is the development team members. They are the one who are speaking. Facilitation can be done by the scrum master. Product owner can be an observer who can clarify things later, not during the daily scrum. So involving, it may look a very tempting option to you. We already have a daily stand-up. People want to know, why don't they come there? Yeah. Sometimes you have those kind of answers as a probably right answers as well, but I would probably keep it aside and let's discuss the B and C more after we see the option D. Encourage the stakeholders to wait until the next sprint review for a consolidated update and provide a summary of progress at that time. Not a bad idea, but it is also not accepting the concern of the stakeholders. I'm saying, guys, you will get your information at the end of sprint only. So see, let's see the whole context. In a Scrum sprint way of working, we start with the sprint planning and we want to have a more interactive and clear communication at the end of sprint/iteration. In the review session, we can take a feedback. During the sprint, the product owner may be having conversation with the stakeholder for a backlog refinement purpose, but as a team, we are more focused on getting the sprint goals achieved, and our stakeholders should feel confident about that if we start producing consistent sprint goals. Yeah, if we start delivering consistent sprint goal, then stakeholder will be more confident and this whole concern will not be there. But right now it seems to be they have a concern. Then what is the other alternative tool? During the sprint, the information radiator, you can show a burn down chart, Kanban board, is a good tool which is recommended by Scrum way of working or Agile way of working. They are saying the team is using information radiator, team is also using their own daily stand-up. Why don't you also see, or I can create a special information radiator, which is a summary level dashboard for my stakeholder. They can see at any point in time, which will promote pull communication. If they have a specific concern, we can handle them on a one-on-one basis. Ideally, those concerns will get over once we start consistently delivering our sprint goal. So in this particular case, I will go with B because it is more aligned with the principles of transparency. It is not blocking the stakeholders from seeing things, but at the same time not creating additional overhead and not disturbing any of our existing Scrum ceremonies. Yeah, so that's the option you can choose for your right answer. So we want to build transparency, we want to visualize the work, and information radiator, maybe you show burn down chart or Kanban board or a Scrum board. Those are great places to see these things. Question number 18. Your organization is running an Agile initiative involving 3 cross-functional teams. These teams rely on 3 shared resources: database specialist, UI expert, and security experts. Okay. Due to the lack of coordination, dependencies between teams are causing delay and bottlenecks. How should you, as an Agile practitioner, address the situation? So I can say 3 Agile teams, 1 shared group of 3 individuals, and question is trying to show that you are getting confused because of dependency and priority management. You need to have a better collaborative work environment. How can you create that? Option A, establish a dependency board to track and visualize inter-team dependency. Ensure proactive management of shared resources and dependency. Not a bad idea, but it is making me a little bit owning this issue directly. The visualization is good, and I think I added this option just to trap it that looks like visualization and people think this is the only right thing, but it also has a section thing that I need to ensure shared resources are managed and dependencies are managed. I want to see if we have a better option rather than just focusing on this. Option B, create a centralized team of shared specialists who can prioritize tasks and resolve dependency for all the team. Possible, but again, we are coming up with the bottleneck. You are creating a situation where you are dependent on this specialized team and you are reducing the empowerment. The Agile way of working is empowerment spread across the whole group. Yeah. So not a good idea. Option C, introduce Scrum of Scrum to facilitate regular coordination among team representatives, ensuring dependency and resource needs are identified and managed collaboratively. Great choice. 2 reasons. First, the word Scrum of Scrum is there, which is also there in your exam content outline. So you have a task which focuses on creating an environment using Scrum of Scrum where teams can collaborate. Yeah, that's a keyword which is matching. Good idea. Though the information radiator was also there, so we don't have to rely just on the keyword, but it has a keyword. And it is basically talking about making collaborative conversation amongst the team and more interactive manner. Yeah. We do want to have a scrum of scrum kind of additional meetings added when you have a multiple team working along with the visualization. You can have a visualization of dependency as well, but A has a negative portion in it. That's why I would prefer going with C over A. Let's see option D. Implement a scaled agile framework to introduce structured approach for managing dependencies and coordinating resources. Too early to jump that. It could be a futuristic thing. Right now we have this problem, and implementing SAFe is a big thing. It requires management involvement. And second thing, if you know SAFe already, the scaled agile framework requires 5 to 12 teams coming together as an agile release train and other stuff. Those kind of things are not shown here. You are focusing on 3 teams and 1 shared team only, and it's a significant effort. So you don't have to jump there. You probably just can manage it with the help of coordination and facilitation of Scrum or any coordination meeting which is amongst the multiple agile teams. So I go with option C for this particular question. Yes, you are getting the idea, collaborating overall and optimizing the flow by way of managing the dependency and close collaboration amongst multiple agile teams and shared resources. Question number 19. As an agile practitioner, you are leading a newly formed team working on a project with tight deadlines for release. Most team members are new in agile practices and lack the experience needed to effectively prioritize tasks and manage dependency. Despite initial training, the team struggled to self-organize and frequently encounters delay due to rework and unclear workflows. What is the best way to address this situation? So few things you can pick up clearly. The maturity of team is low, and team is in the early stage of team development. You can call it forming or storming stage of the team development. And the consequences of that is also visible. The things are getting stuck. And stakeholder has a high expectation. Anyway, that's a little noise. Anyway, I want to make sure that we use best of our time. Even if stakeholders are not having high expectation, I want to deliver as per my team capability all the time. Let's see the option. Assign specific roles and responsibility to team members to oversee their work to ensure adherence to the project timeline and agile practices. So it is like that you create team leader, project managers, technical expert, and make sure that guys, you need to make sure everything is working. So that can create a permanent dysfunction in the team. It's a situation right now which you want to overcome. But if you create these kind of roles and responsibility to monitor others, then it will be all the time you will remain in a non-self-organized or empowered team format. So you don't want to create a future problem for solving this particular problem. Switch temporarily to predictive approach to provide the team with a more structured workflow. Possible, but we should have a better option rather than I'm saying I'm not following Agile. Little bit like A only, it may be difficult to come back later also. And whenever you want to come back later, then also we will have a team communication issues. So I have to make sure that we move forward because it is something we are following Agile, I can assume in this particular question, and the situation demands Agile. We are not unnaturally doing it. So we don't have to go to predictive lifecycle just because the team is unable to collaborate and manage things. There are no other indicator which says that you have to go for predictive lifecycle. Option C, allow the team to continue learning through the trial and error, encouraging them to reflect on their challenges during retrospective and gradually improve their workflow. Not a bad idea. Yeah, not a bad idea. The only thing is that it is clearly showing that I'm in early stage and we are new to Agile and we have a deadlines in front of us. Yeah. But out of ABC, C is good because it is still focusing on empowerment. Let's see option D. Conduct regular coaching sessions to reinforce Agile principles and practices while actively facilitating task prioritization and dependency management during team meeting. So it is saying that you get involved. Yeah. And again, involvement is also focusing on coaching. You are coaching them onto Agile practices and principles. And right now you are more doing servant leadership by way of facilitating prioritization, dependency management, not doing dependency management and prioritization alone, but you are providing more assistance in it during the various interactions they are doing. So if you have to compare between C and D, and again, the Agile PMI-ACP is a pragmatic thing. It is not like extreme thing that at any cost you need to empower team. So yes, we want to empower them, but want to make them ready as well. They are at an early stage of team development. I would prefer we go for option D because it is showing the path rather than saying, they will learn over a period of time. And question is also indicating that you have a tight deadlines coming forward. And it is not showing some negative effect where it may looks like that this is not going to be self-organized team later. So I'm doing it and I'm doing the work with the coaching, so this team can become self-organized later. So we go with option D here. So overall empowerment of the team. Question number 20. During an estimation workshop, a developer and tester disagree on complexity of a user story. They start interrupting each other and questioning each other's reasoning excessively, causing the workshop progress to slow and team to worry about not finishing the refinement within given time box. As an agile practitioner, what should be your conflict management approach? Yeah. Or I think the team facilitation approach. How should we resolve this particular thing? Okay, option A, pause the discussion for a discussion and facilitate a time box debate between the developer and the tester, guiding them to reach a consensus while keeping the team engaged. So possible, but still it may delay the overall team finishing the refinement. So I will say, hold on, let these two people close this thing and then we'll continue it. Yeah, possible, but not that great. But I can still consider it if I don't get any good option. Option B, redirect the discussion to focus on the workshop objective and use a parking lot for unresolved disagreement, ensuring that the refinement and estimations are completed within the session. Kind of textbooks approach. I facilitate, I keep your disagreements aside and we all focus on what we are here for and we finish that. Good idea, far better than A. I go with B as of now. Option C, allow the team to mediate their disagreement collectively, encourage an open conversation to foster understanding and the alignment. Not a bad idea. Yeah. It is saying that, it's about the team. They need to figure it out. I don't have to solve their problem all the time. I am a servant leader. I want to make them self-organize. That's a good idea. But the question is indicating the team is already worried about not finishing the refinement. And at this particular stage, if you take a step-back approach, maybe it is not that productive. And here in the option B, you are just redirecting the discussion to focus on the workshop goal. Yeah. So if things were not that dangerous, I can probably go with C, where I can let the team figure it out. But looks like that my intervention is needed from the question. I go with option B as of now because PMI-ACP is also expecting me to understand how do I resolve when things are going out of hand. Let's see option D, use facilitation technique like dot voting, affinity grouping to help the team quickly converge the estimate. Another way of facilitation, but may not be that much effective. So I would say it's a close pick between B and C. Yeah. The C is little approach where I am trusting the team's ability to resolve it, where B is that me getting involved and resolving it. Yeah. Why I am choosing B, and you may have a difference of opinion. There is no need of we agreeing for all the questions and all the answers. Why I am choosing B? Because the question is indicating this discussion has been prolonged, yeah, and the team is feeling worried about not resolving this issue in time is delaying their overall workshop objective. Because of these two hints in the question, I preferably take a little more proactive approach and I go for B, where I am the one who is facilitating the agreement on your ground rules and facilitating them and bringing them back, and also introducing a tool like parking lot to ensure we remain on track rather than trusting the team to take care of their facilitation responsibilities. So I go with option B in this particular question. So yes, it is my task of facilitating conflict management, which is also coming alive when I am demonstrating my leadership. So these were the 10 questions. I hope these questions will help you in developing the right mindset. My goal is that only, to develop a right mindset which can help you in covering other questions as well. Yeah. And if you need specific assistance for PMI-ACP, connect with us. We do run the PMI authorized education program, which helps you in earning 28 contact hours, along with you have sufficient amount of practice questions aligned to PMI exam content outline. You can find the details in the description of this particular video.